Hello, fans. Mike Murphy alongside Shawn Green, who's the Associate Athletic Director for Compliance here at UNH. Shawn, the house looks great. The background looks great. You look unbelievably great. So I'm crossing my fingers that everybody is well in the Green household.
Everybody is well. Thanks for asking, Mark. Hope the same is true at your house. And yeah, we're just, like you said, trying to maintain some level of sanity here.
Yeah, we're doing our best. And as part of this series, we're using Zoom, as everybody else is, just trying to spread some information that people can find useful. And in your world, on Friday, the NCAA Eligibility Center came out with its official COVID-19 response. What can you tell us about this, the new policies?
Yeah, it seems like every day there's something new coming from the NCAA that we've been tracking on and trying to keep our coaches and our current student athletes and our incoming student athletes all posted on this. On Friday, the big news was from the Eligibility Center, as you mentioned. They've been trying to determine how they were going to certify all of the incoming high school class of 2020. And what they have announced is that they're not going to be using standardized test scores because so many SAT and ACT test opportunities have been canceled. So that's typically something that's used in certifying their eligibility. Currently, as of right now, that's not going to be used now. And then if a student is taking courses pass-fail, then the Eligibility Center is going to be fine using those. If that will help their GPA, then they'll use it that way. And I'm trying not to get too much inside baseball here because the Eligibility Center can be a little bit confusing. But if a pass-fail grade, the way the Eligibility Center typically calculates that is a 2.3 on a 4.0 scale. If that would hurt their GPA, then they won't use it. If it'll help their GPA, then they will. And then the other piece, go ahead.
I was going to say, it sounds like what this is doing is going to maybe put some minds at ease for the students.
Definitely. I think that they've recognized that so many school districts across the country are in so many different positions relative to whether they can teach new material or not, that they really had to make some pretty significant adjustments, and that's what we've seen here. The other piece is there's a rule within the Eligibility Center that you need to, for Division I, it's different for Division II, need to have completed 10 core courses before the start of your senior year. And of those 10 core courses, 7 have to be in the area of English, math, or science. And so if you have done that by the start of this senior year, that you have those 10 core courses, 7 of them are in English, math, and science, and you have at least a 2.3 GPA, then you're going to be eligible for athletics for next year, which is great for incoming student athletes.
And this entire document you can find now on UNHWildcats.com. I think it was 5 pages. How about the teams at UNH now? What are the coaches able to do with their student athletes?
That is another piece that's evolving seemingly on a daily basis. But essentially what it comes down to right now is our coaches are absolutely able to keep in touch with our student athletes as much as possible, provide them as much support as they can, making this adjustment to online learning, any sort of academic help that they need, any sort of mental health help that they need. Those sorts of things are completely, not regulated by the NCAA. Our coaches should feel free to do as much as they need to do to help our student athletes, which is obviously the priority. And then as it comes to actual training methods, our coaches are allowed to send out training plans, but they're currently not allowed to have the student athletes, they're not allowed to require those student athletes to report back on what they're doing. Every student athlete is in a different city, state, even country. Each one of those places has a different level of severity regarding the virus. So nobody feels comfortable telling student athletes, hey, you got to go lift. Well, the gym's closed. Or, okay, you have to lift. Well, I don't have dumbbells at my house. So I think our staff have been really, really creative, and staffs across the country have been really creative in terms of finding new ways to train students. But they can send that out. They can't require the student athletes to report that back. They're allowed to engage in up to 8 hours per week of film review with student athletes. So that is countable. They can't go beyond that 8-hour limit. But like I said, those academic meetings and things don't count. But they can't engage, like, I'm not going to get down here and do some push-ups for you, Murph, but they can't do things like that where they're requiring the student athletes to virtually, work out with them. That's currently against the rules.
I can assign those push-ups to you. I just can't ask if you actually do them. That's fair.
I promise I'll do them after.
Well, this is an exciting time because of the ability to sign NLIs, and our teams are really starting to ramp up in that area too.
It's been a busy week. Yeah, absolutely. As of the 15th of April, we started being able to sign students to national letters of intent once again. That had been shut down for a little while in the initial response to the COVID situation. The NCAA has declared a dead period, which means we can't have any recruiting contact either on or off our campuses, from now through the end of May. But we are now allowed to sign people. So for all of our sports, starting April 15th and going through August 1st, they're allowed to sign incoming freshmen for the class of 2020 to national letters of intent.
What is the messaging we can give to our current student athletes, and I'll include the incoming students in the fall because they're basically Wildcats now as their high school career wraps up?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost thing is that we're here. Here is very different than where here usually is. Here is scattered at all our homes, but all of us as administrators and staff and coaches are working hard from home. We're still here every day to help support them, whatever they need. Like I said, first and foremost, how they're doing emotionally, and then obviously how they're doing academically with the transition to online courses. But then just, in the athletic aspect of things as well, we're all here. If you got questions about eligibility, things like that, let us know. But the University of New Hampshire as a whole has declared that students have the option to choose to take courses pass-fail on a course-by-course basis. So they have to make that decision by April 28th. And what we're telling all our student athletes is don't make that decision independently. First and foremost, you should always speak with your academic advisor, and then speak with the athletic academic advisors, and then myself in compliance. Sort of a triple check to make sure that making a course pass-fail is not going to affect your eligibility moving forward. For most of our students, it's not a problem, but for some, there's going to be some situations depending on their major where taking a course pass-fail could present some problems for them. So really just need to make sure that they focus on that. And otherwise, like I said, just reaching out if they need help academically. We're all trying to adjust to this new normal, which is an overly used expression now, I think. But in this new normal, we're all still here to help.
And the last question I think I have for you, Shawn, is about those recruits, those who are hoping to be future Wildcats, not being able to visit campus in the traditional method. What can we tell them about their dreams of hopefully being noticed by coaches or talking with coaches and eventually becoming Wildcats?
Sure, I think that's one of the areas we all feel terribly for seniors who've lost their spring and so many aspects of the traditional high school, that culmination of high school. So we want to try and make that as normal as possible. UNH admissions website has a great virtual tour. Some of our coaches have been doing virtual tours as well. So if you can't get to campus, we can find a way to get you that virtual tour. It's obviously not the same, but it's still going to give you a really good understanding of what the Durham community is like and what the University of New Hampshire community is like. But reaching out to coaches, I think, is critical. Communicating is always critical. It's even more so now. It's just a different world, right? Our coaches can't just pop out and watch you compete. You're not competing, and our coaches aren't allowed to do that right now. So trying to find a way to make sure that those coaches know that you're interested and that you're planning on coming to UNH next year, and so that we can just keep those lines of communication open on what needs to be taken care of. It's a very different situation. Friends of mine whose children are of recruiting age, we've talked a lot about just keep those lines of communication open, and get ready to get back to normal, because sooner or later it will get back to normal. We don't know when that's going to be. Everything will be a little bit different, but we can't wait to kind of throw the doors back open and get people back out there competing.
In the meantime, Shawn, how can people reach you? Where else can they go for more information?
Absolutely. The website, as you said, is going to be updated with information. It has a link to the university's policies and procedures and just information on COVID athletics. We're keeping that updated as often as we get changes from the NCAA. But I can be reached at shawn.green@unh.edu. And all that information is on the website as well if they've got questions, anybody.
He's Shawn Green, Associate AD for Compliance at UNH. Thanks for your time, Shawn. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Murph. Stay well.